Okay, for this one, we're going to go into a power dialer automation, which is a little bit more advanced. So if you're not comfortable with the previous ones, then just hold off on this because we're going to be getting into some more complex things. Okay, so let's dive in. The first thing is it's known as a power dialer. And this just means that you can add a list of people to a dialer and it'll call the first one and there's an outcome such as the call was completed or the call was not completed because it was a no answer, busy, or voicemail. And then you want this system to take an action based on whatever the outcome was. So, for example, if it was a call completed, you might want to remove it from the dialer queue because you've already completed the call. And you might want to tag that person with call completed. If it's a uncompleted call, no answer, busy, or voicemail, then you may want to put it back into the dialer queue and then tag it as dialing in process so you know that this prospect is still in the process of being contacted. Okay, so this is already built out into the system, but I wanted to show it to you because I think it's a really good example of how complex you can really make some of these and be very elegant in its process. Okay, so let's go into under automations. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go under the power dialer. And that's on page 2 of the automations. And it's 3.0 power dialer manual automations. And you notice we've got 2 people in this already. That's because I've been doing some testing and getting it set up. So the contact trigger on this is a tag is added, and the tag is add-power-dialer. Now, you can have the trigger be whatever you want. So let's say they filled out a form, then you would put it onto the power dialer. You could do it whatever you want, but for these purposes, we're just using a tag. Then what we wanted to do is we're going to assign it to me as I'm the agent. We're going to have a wait mandatory, and this is just a 0.1 minute. So it's like, 6 seconds or whatever, a tenth of a minute. And we're going to have a condition. So if it's not on the D&D, so the do not call list, so the call, SMS, or email, then we'll add it to the call list. If it is on the call list, then we're going to remove it from the workflow. We don't need to do anything with it. If it goes on to the power dialer, it sets it into manual call mode. We're going to add the tag dialing in process, and we're going to remove the tag add power dialer because it's already added. And then if a dial is made, then it's going to wait 10 minutes and do the same thing. Okay, so this is all the calls were not completed for whatever reason. If it's completed, then it just removes it from the call log. Okay, so let's show you how this works. We're going to go to a contact, and we're just going to pull up my information. We're going to go down to tags, and we're going to add the power dialer. Add, and if you just type the first word, there it is. So now it's added to that power dialer. So let's check the note. So we might want to add a note to this. This workflow does not have a note to it. So I don't know whether it's taken place or not. So again, re-emphasizing that we should structure the standard workflow steps there. If you go in under conversations on the left-hand side and manual action, because that's what a power dialer is, you can see it's still waiting to get added. So let's go to the automation and let's go under power dialer. And there's the 3.0 power dialer. Enrollment history. And it's waiting. Okay. So where is it in the wait queue? It is right here. So to reset this, I'm going to take it out of the queue. I'm going to remove it from the queue. And this way we can test it a little bit better. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go to contacts. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of resetting the automation to make sure that it works this time. I'm going to remove that power dialer tag. And this time I'm going to go back to the automation. And I'm going to go back to that power dialer, 3.0. I'm going to go back here. And this time I'm going to add that note, right? To make sure that we know we can track it back. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to add the action note. And we're going to add that there. Now, here's where it's interesting. You don't just have to add notes in the beginning. You can add notes anywhere. I like to add them especially under conditionals. And the reason I like to add them under conditionals is so that I know what branch this person went through. So I'm going to add it to this branch, and I'm going to add it just a note saying that the dialing is in process. Note. Step, dialing in process. So now we know, okay, it's in that workflow, and this is the step that it's in, and or the branch that it's in, whatever you want to call it. I'll call it branch just to keep the nomenclature consistent. Branch, dialing in process. Now we know that remove power dialer, right? So remove from workflow. I may want to put another note here. I can't do it there because we've already removed the contact from the power dialer or from this workflow. So we're going to add it above it and add a note here. And this means, and then branch, spell it properly, branch. There we go. So now we've got a note removed from workflow. We've got another note dialing in process. We don't need to add any others because it's in process. It's just going to go until the call is completed. Now what we would want to do is put an end here and put a note at the very end. End, branch, calls ended. We didn't complete the call. We just ended the call, the power dialer. Okay, so I'm just making a note of that. So now let's go back to the contact. Now that we've got our notes in place, I'm going to go back to the contact. I'm going to add that tag, add the power dialer. So again, we would check it, make sure it got added. Add the power dialer, 140, and it's now 141. So let's go back to the automations. And that should be at 3 now because we were at 2. So let's go to the automation 3.0, power dialer. So we're at 3. And if we go to conversations and manual actions, now we've got a contact on here. So this is really important to understand how this was working, right? A lot of moving steps. So let's figure out this part. Call completed, no answer, busy, or voicemail. Well, we've got a step in the power dialer. Let's go to the automations here and go back here. And if you notice, we've got all these call completed, etc. These are not turned on by default. You do have to go in there and publish these, but we're going to turn on the 3.0C. So now what this means is, hey, if the status, the call status is call completed, then take these actions. So we're going to remove the power dial, the tag dialing in process. We're going to remove the tag add to power dialer, and we're going to add the tag call completed We're going to leave a note, remove from power dialer because the call was completed. You may want to also put the name of this in here. I think that would be a good idea. Put it in the beginning here. And then we want to remove it from that workflow that we were just working on because it's already completed. And then remove it from this workflow because we don't need things hanging around in a workflow that's already done, right? So we're done. So now that one's turned on as well. What about the other stuff? Well, let's get in here. Well, we've got remove from power dialer. Let's see what this one is. So this one is if the tag remove from power dialer is added to a contact, then it'll remove the tag dialing in process. It'll remove the power dialer tag. It'll add a note. It'll remove it from this workflow and there. So it kind of makes sense that if you're going to add a whole bunch of contacts to a power dialer using the tagging system, that you would want to be able to remove them from the power dialer. Let's say you're calling a list of Medicare people, and then you don't want your Medicare people mixed up with your ACA, right? So you may want to add those on there, the add tag, the remove tag, so that you can add a list and remove a list sequentially, right? So let's publish that one as well. And then we could go in and check the other one under power dialer. Tag callback or there. So let's check what that one means. I didn't go in order, but you get the idea. This is tag callback, or the pipeline stage. I think this is more of a custom workflow, so we can skip that one. And then the next one is the life insurance hot transfer. And this one is if a form is submitted. So this would be something completely different also. Okay, so we don't need to worry about that. So let's go back to the original power dialer and this condition right here. So this condition was checking to see if D&D was enabled. Perfect. And now it's going to call. Okay, and the manual call just puts in a manual call. It creates a note and things like that. Well, it just leaves it on there. So you don't have to do anything if the call was not completed, which is the beauty of this system. So there's no other automations that you need to create. The system just knows it automatically. And this is set up to add them back onto the call list every 10 minutes, but you can change it to 1 minute. If you want to change that to 1 minute and call this person 10 times every 10 minutes, that's fine. You can just get in here and change it up. Okay. So let's see how this actually works. So I'm going to go to conversations and manual actions. And now it's on the call list. I'm going to start let's call or let's start. And it's going to make an outbound call. Now, a couple things are going to happen. I can answer this call, or I can just hang it up. Let's say they don't answer. Boom. And this little window pops up. Now, this is just part of the normal standard functionality of the CRM. Didn't have to program this or anything. There's no website or funnel that I needed to create. It's just part of the system. But depending on how I answer this question, how did the call go? If I answer no answer, busy, or voicemail, based on this, no answer, busy, or voicemail, it's going to go back into the call queue. If I answer call completed, then it'll remove it from the call queue and tag it call completed. So let's we'll do one of each. I'll make it a second call. So let's do no answer and we'll see if it works. I'm going to say no answer. So now it put it back into the call queue. Okay, so let's check Jeff Widener's information. And I should be tagged with dialing in process. And I'm going to go back here. Check the tags, dialing in process. Okay, and it already removed the add power dialer. Okay, so that was removed, and let's go to the notes. There we go. So now we know it went through that branch dialing in process, and that's where it is. So let's go back and go to conversations, and we're going to go to manual actions again, and we're going to go let's start. It's going to dial the person again. I'm going to hang up, and this time I'm going to say call completed. Now the call wasn't completed. I didn't pick up the phone, but you get the idea. Okay, call completed. And now it removes it from the call queue. Perfect. That's exactly what we wanted to happen. So we're back in under conversations and manual actions. Call queue is empty. If I go on under contacts and pull up Jeff Widener again, outbound call, go under notes, call queue, call completed, removed from Power Dialer because the call was completed. So everything is working perfectly. So hope this wasn't too confusing for you. Basically what we're doing is we're letting the system handle some of the automation, and then we created some other automation. How do you know what to do, where to do it? Well, you get familiar with the automations and what is capable. So, and that the only way you do it is through experience. So if you go in under here, 3.0, you can get in there and add the power dialer and check the settings, check the enrollment history, and there we are. But how do we know that? How did I know all this? Well, I called tech support and I asked them, right? Frankly, I needed to know how to set up a power dialer properly, and I wanted to add some additional functionality based on the original one that was in there. So this one is a lot more functional, has a lot more functionality than the original standard one that Go High Level puts out. And if you need to make some changes to this, you can certainly make some changes to this. You can, send an email, you can send text message. This is, still kind of a basic one, but it gets the job done, and you can make lots of calls with it very quickly. All right, hope this was helpful. And if you have any questions, always, down in the bottom right-hand corner, there is the MFG Plus tech support. You can ask for help right there. You can go home, you can search for help, ask for questions to this. You can also go into the membership area, and the membership area, you should have gotten a text or an email with your username and password. Okay? All right. Thanks a lot. Make it a great one. Go on to the next one.